You hear me, Jim?
Yes, I can.
Good, good.
Just dialed in. There you are.
Yeah, there I am.
There you are. Beautiful blue sky. Are you on the beach? Are you?
Well, it's very hot today. The maid is cleaning the apartment, so I had to get out. So,
Look at that.
And it's a very hot day today, even here on the beach with the breeze.
I had lunch yesterday with this guy, Dave Belden, and he looked at your facility when they were looking for a place to move to, and they ended up at Falcons Landing. I can't remember.
Oh, well, I guess he likes winter then.
Right. I hope we don't have winter here. A couple of years ago, we had about 15 inches of snow. I think it was the second year we were here.
Wow.
What a mess.
Now, yeah, and to get your meals, do you have to go to another building?
Yeah, but it's right up the street. It's it takes me 5 minutes to get to the dining room. So
now you had meetings today, as I recall.
I just got out of it. I had our CFO was going through his proposed budget for next year.
Oh, really? Did he go over that with you? That's
in detail.
No, we're denied that. We have no access to that.
Really? Well, yeah. He goes over it in great detail, and he gave us his presentation. Friday. So I put together a list of about 7 or 8 questions based on that, and he answered every one of them.
Yeah, no, that's much more open than what we have with our
right. Well, I'm hoping it'll rub off on the board, but I'm not optimistic. And he's very good. He'll answer any question except when it has to do with policy. Why do you do this? And he says, I don't want to go there.
Is he a financial person or an accountant?
It's a good question. He's a retired Air Force many years ago. In the Air Force, he was a missile officer. But I'm not sure what his...
Well, how would that prepare somebody to handle other people's money?
I have no idea. But he's been doing it here for 20 years. Okay. He was here when they opened the place.
Okay.
So,
and do you have a positive balance sheet there?
No, we have a negative deficit.
Okay, maybe that's what happens if you have an Air Force officer run the money.
Well, when he was gone, he came and gave us a financial presentation a month ago, and he said, this is exactly the same thing I tell the board. And he went through his presentation to the board, which was very helpful for me, having read the books that you suggested.
Okay.
So I had some questions about it, and the one thing he didn't say, he just said, here's where we are, but he didn't say where everybody else is. And so I felt I could add something to it, but he's pretty open about it.
Okay, I just saw Ann briefly, but she's now sort of disappeared again.
I see her name there she is.
There she is.
Hey, Ann.
I had to connect my AirPods.
Look at those. Those aren't earrings.
No, they're my Apple AirPods.
How do those work?
They work great. And they don't fall out of my ears either.
My daughter went to Washington Lee University, and 2 of her classmates poured all their money and other people's money into developing ear pods, and then found out Apple was going to do the same thing.
Whoops.
Oops.
Now Basil is, I see Basil, but he's both muted and blinded. So,
You see his name.
So where are you, Jack? It looks like you're outside.
well, it's a very, the first place, it's the maid is cleaning our apartment, and it's a very, very hot day. So I'm out, I came out as close to the beach as I could get.
Wow, that looks nice.
So so I'm just sitting out here. We have a nice
I just learned something. I can't put this in at the same time the microphone's in.
Okay. Well, your voice sounds different from usual.
Well, maybe I have a little cold. Who knows? I think I do.
No,
I
it
think
sounds
you're
like,
echoing.
yeah, you have an echo. It sounds like there are two microphones or something.
That's better. Now we can't hear you at all.
Can you hear now?
Yeah.
Well, we can hear you.
Okay.
You're
All right.
very loud.
Huh?
Are you doing something different than you normally do on
No,
time?
I'm not. That's right. Let's see. Speaker view. Is that any different for you? I have a good view of you, Ann.
Hello?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's it. I don't know what that's all about. Kelly.
The audio is the problem.
Huh?
The audio is the problem. It's a lot
There's
of
a little static
in the
and it's
background. And
loud, so I'm wondering if you're using a different system.
No.
Why don't you try logging out, Basil, and logging in again?
All right, I will.
Yeah. I think you had a strange connection.
I think so, yeah. So we were admiring your view, and that your community fronts right on the Pacific Ocean, apparently. Very
Well, yeah,
nice.
well, as I said, the maid's cleaning the apartment. Hello, Basil.
Any better?
No, whatever it is, we'll just live with it, I guess. Whoa, that'll fix
There's what's happening.
it's strangled.
Huh? What do you think?
That was spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it was.
It fell off its mouth, that's all.
I think I see
I
Steve
think
Richards.
we'll live with it. You're on.
I'm not the star anyhow. We got this is the guy that's the star, right?
Well, your audio is screwed up.
Oh, and here comes Steve.
Hi everyone, this is Steve with Club Express.
Steve that just reported in. Hi, Ann MacKay.
How's everyone doing?
Hey, Steve.
Hope everyone's doing well.
Okay, yeah, did you find
Am I coming in clearly?
Yeah,
Yeah.
did you find the share screen part? It may be on the bottom. Oh, no, I think go ahead. Are you on a Mac, Steve?
No, I'm on a PC.
Okay, yeah, I have my PC at home, so I can't, since I'm on my iPad, because I'm outdoors, I can't really see. I think there's a a place where it says share screen. You click, oh, there you go. You got it. That's it.
Okay.
Give me a second here. I may be sharing the wrong screen. Hold on one second. Well, does everybody see the Northwest Balloon Club?
We
Yes.
did before. Now we see
Did.
the snowpros.org.
Yeah, we see a sticky note on top of flippers.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you don't mind, you're going to be seeing the side of my face as we're doing this because I'm going to be looking at a different monitor. Let me see if there's another way I could share this. Give me 1 second. How's that? Does everybody see the Northwest Balloon Club?
Yep.
We
Yes.
do.
Great. All right. And I'm coming in clearly over the audio?
You are.
Great. All right. So, Ann, I'm going to pick on you.
Okay.
Since you and I are the ones who started this conversation, why don't we get everybody caught up, make introductions, and give us a bit of a story as to how we got here today.
Oh, you want me? Can Basil Pflumm, the president of NaCCRA, is on the line. Jack Cumming, the vice president, is on the line. And Jim Haynes, who's kind of working as a semi-project manager, he is from Virginia. He is also on the line. And MacKay from Charlestown and Catonsville, Maryland. We're all residents of their retirement communities. There's Basil, if you see Basil.
And I can hear you fine. I'll just keep my remarks short because I don't, apparently it's a problem to hear me.
I think there's a lot of static. Is anybody else hearing that? A lot of noise in the
I think when
background. So
Basil, when you're not speaking, if you mute, I think that would help.
Okay, I'll just mute.
Yeah, Basil has
Yes.
some kind of echo, a feedback loop somehow going. We had him log out and log in again, but it still got the feedback. So usually he doesn't have that, but for some reason today we're in some kind of a feedback thing with him.
Now, Jack lives in California, Basil is in Florida, I'm in Maryland, and Jim is in Virginia. So we usually conduct our business through conference calls like we're doing now. And
excellent.
we are, and as you know, we are looking to replace the association management company who has been doing our membership invoicing and adding members to the database. And we're looking for a substitute, and I discovered you by doing searches. And we're kind of interested in exploring the possibilities and feasibilities of your system.
Okay, great. That's it. That's all I needed for an intro. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time. My name, once more, is Steve. I'm with Club Express. I'm the National Sales Director. Let me tell you a little bit more about Club Express. We are on our 14th year of release. We are servicing thousands of organizations, over 300,000 people, and we are PC Magazine's 2 years in a row Editor's Choice Award for Association Management Tool. Now, some other things that may make a difference for Club Express is that we are the preferred vendor for the aging and network village-to-village community. And we are kind of sort of a little bit more familiar with your demographic because of that relationship. What Club Express provides is a SaaS platform. SaaS means software as a service. The whole tool itself is online, and that's going to allow leadership such as yourself and your coordinators and your members to have access to information. So things are going to be able to be done very quickly and easily, freeing up everyone's time and effort. It really is catered towards organizations that are run by volunteers or have a very limited staff. The tool itself is broken apart into 4 different components. Because this is an online tool, we need to talk about the look and feel of it. Then there's the public area. The point of the public area, very simply, is to tell your story. This is who we are. This is what we're all about. This is what our mission is. This is the values and benefits you'll receive from being a member of our association. And then there's a private members only area. You need to have a username and password to enter that area, and those credentials are going to identify you to the system, giving you not only access to your own account, but any kind of administrative rights and privileges that have been provided to you. So what we're going to do is go ahead and jump into the Northwest Balloon Club. This is one of our demo sites. This is a live site. There's almost all the features and functions of Club Express have been activated for this. And this is our sandbox that we're going to come up here and play around with. And it's going to provide us a better sense of how do you do this and how do you do that. Get a good sense of how you navigate your way around the system and how easy it is to be able to do things. I'm going to have a couple of ground rules to keep in mind as we move along. Number one is that the look and feel of Club Express sites are incredibly flexible. So just because you see something laid out here in such a way, the template design or the colors or where the menu is and how many items there are in the menu and what they're called, all these types of aesthetic details, they're open to whatever you'd like them to be. So please don't get locked into, well, that's what I saw in the Northwest Balloon Club as the only way it could be delivered. The other thing I'd like you to keep in mind is if there's any questions, any comments along the way, go ahead and take care of them. Ask them at that moment. There's no reason to wait till the end. And the third thing that I've noticed, just forgive me, I see myself moving along and talking on the side of the monitor, and my eyes keep glancing towards there because it's something moving. And it's going to distract me a little, and I'm not going to be looking dead ahead. So just be patient with me as my perspective may be changing as I'm moving along.
You look good in profile. Just stay with profile.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we're good.
You're good? Excellent. I believe I had an email from Jim earlier talking about the look and feel of Club Express sites, and as a reference, provided a link to the currently worked on site. Was that from Jim? Or was that from Jim? Jim. Okay, so the quick answer is we could deliver almost everything delivered that's currently on that site with one of our packages. The exception to that is some of the fields that have been highlighted within the Contact Us. Ours is already embedded as to how we will be able to deliver that. But
you broke up on that last. What was the piece that wasn't?
The Contact Us. We have a different way of being able to provide that, and it's embedded into the system, and there's no workaround for that. As part of the demo, we will be reviewing how we provide that functionality versus what your current site is. Other than that, everything else can be delivered.
Just so everybody understands, I think they saw, because they copied everybody, it was the NaCCRA members site that I sent you and suggested you look at. And so what you're saying, that look and feel can be replicated, except for the Contact Us part, which is a slightly different.
Steve has special security built into that. But I assume that Steve along the way will talk about what Club Express does that's not on that current NaCCRA member site.
Okay.
Well, again, I did not have privilege to be able to dive in deep to see exactly how things are, being done on that side, or what items really make a difference for you and what requirements are needed. I'm going to, put the ball in your court to be able to ask questions as we move along in this demo. I'm going to give you that big picture perspective, but I'm going to rely on you to say, all right, Steve, I understand how Club Express does this, but show me exactly how you do A, B, and C, and we'll go down those rabbit holes as they come to us.
Well, let me just confirm. The NaCCRAmember.com website that we're using now has a database core. It runs on it's not exactly MySQL, but it's similar. So I believe your system is very similar. Then we have the clerical administration of entering manually checks and that sort of thing. And I understand that you're equipped, you have a clerical staff to do that. And then there's the handling of questions from an elderly clientele. many of whom confuse capitalization and confuse all sorts of things that you might expect in an elderly population. And my understanding is that you're prepared to handle all of that. And that's all built into this pricing. Is that correct?
That is correct, except for one item. There is a fee for us being able to for us to process check payments. And I believe I forwarded that information to you. I know I made it available. My apologies.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly who's.
Was that the 80 cents a check?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
But other than that, Jack, you are exactly correct. Those are all the items that Club Express provides.
So basically, you combine the functions of an executive administrator or a bookkeeping service, more or less, with what we now have with NaCCRA members.com.
Well, again, let's dive into what the platform is able to do, and you're going to be able to see for yourself that many of these items that a traditional association management company would provide are built-in features of Club Express. And we leverage also the fact that we have complimentary tech support to go along with it. And so when challenges arise, your members are able to give us a call and say, I'm having a hard time logging in. I forgot my username and password. Can you please help me log in? Or I'm having a hard time registering for an event or renewing their membership. This is where we need to draw a line, though. Our role is to help them do it, not do it for them. So they give us a call and they say, I need help registering for an event. We'll hold their hand. We'll get them to that starting point and make sure that they're off and running. They're not going to be calling us and say, please register for me for the fish fry for this Friday. And let me give you a credit card over the phone so you can pay my event fee.
Yeah, that's the same as what we have now.
Okay. Great. Okay, so I'm going to reiterate any questions, any comments along the way. Go ahead and fire them off. And let's find out what the Northwest Balloon Club is all about. Just to be clear, could everybody see my mouse moving around?
Yes.
Circling around? Great.
Yes.
All right, just want to make sure. Let's get off and running then. Okay, so we have our banner going across the top. There's our lovely balloons. There's our logo. Right underneath that, we have our menu. We'll get back to that in a second. I'm going to scroll down the page. We got this area here that's customized. Come fly with us. And we've entered in here a link, join today. What we're trying to do here is drive people online in order for them to apply to become a member. How is new member sign up currently handled?
Online.
Drive people on. Okay, great. And if you see the top of my head, it's because I'm taking notes. And let's take this a step further. Typically, you're going to get some information from them. Name, address, phone number, email, cell phone, typical contact information. Do you ever require anything above and beyond? Any kind of customized information?
We have that built in to get skills, etc. that they have. That's built into the current system.
Perfect. Club Express would be able to accommodate the same thing as well. I'm going to take it another step. Is there an approval process to becoming a member?
No.
No. All right. So in the world of Club Express, the way this process would roll out is people go online. They'll go through that first area where it's typical contact information. Then we'll go through the items that Jack just mentioned. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. History, background, what you're looking for, kind of skills you have. Can you volunteer for this area or that area? And then the final step will be, please make payment online. Please make payment, pardon me, in order to settle your dues. And it could be done online with PayPal or a credit card, or they could print out an invoice to mail in a check.
Steve, I'm going to try to unmute me, and I hope it's not too disruptive. But at the beginning of your brochure, we do have some people who pay by check, and later in the document you talk about an address where people can mail checks. Can you give us what that option is? I'll mute.
Very simply, so once more, on many items within Club Express where there's going to be a payment involved, that's always going to be the final page. For example, I'm signing up to become a member, I'm renewing my membership, I'm registering for an event. You'll go through the whole process of those separate items. The final page will always be, how would you like to settle your dues or your payment? And at that point, PayPal will be available, online credit card will be available, as well as print out an invoice to mail in a check. And on that invoice page is where the address will exist for the payment to come out, to where the payment would get mailed to. So very simply, they're just going to take that invoice, fold it up, if they have a window envelope, and drop it in the mail, and off it goes.
And that can be a lockbox.
That could be any address you want.
So it's not your address, unless you're
You highlight
processing-
what address you want in there.
Do you provide that service? An address? You don't provide an address. Well, if you're charging a check, 80 cents a check, where would those checks come from?
Well, they would
be
come from
mailed to
who's
you?
ever mailing them, but they're going to be sent to Club Express.
Oh, I see. No, we were, okay, with our current system, if somebody sends in a check, say to a lockbox, then when the check's received, we just click on a box to show that it's been received. And that enters the payment and opens the member-only sections of the system. So that would be a little different.
It would be a little bit different, okay? But as part of the typical demo, we're actually going to see how we would be able to process those payments.
Good.
All right.
I guess I need to clarify. Can checks be mailed to Club Express and you handle the check?
Correct. Yes, they can.
Okay.
All right. I'm all the way down on the bottom here, and we've customized these 3 different panels. We're talking about some committee news here, community outreach. This is how great of neighbors we are, and upcoming events. Now, this upcoming events is a widget. Club Express is driven by 20 different modules, all helping you with various types of administrative tasks. One of the most popular ones, and the most powerful one, is the calendar. You're able to post all kinds of items on there. What the widget does, it links to the calendar, and you customize within the widget, look out so many days. Look out 10 days, 20 days, 30 days. You get to determine what that magic number is. And anything that falls in the calendar within that window would automatically self-populate within the upcoming events widget. What this does for you is provides you an open line of communication with your members. Here's what's happening with NaCCRA in the next 20 days, 30 days, once more, whatever that magic number is. And these are actual live links where we would be able to click on them and take us to that exact event, where at that point we'll get more details of it, be able to register for it, and if necessary, make payment.
Okay.
All right. Let's get to the menu now. We're currently on homepage. I'm going to go ahead and click on About Us. And you've heard me say already a couple of times that Club Express is stocked with 20 different modules helping you with various types of administrative tasks. The other thing that it comes with are customizable pages. These are completely open-ended pages to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Do you want to talk about the upcoming events? Do you want to talk about the history of your association? Talk about any kind of changes? It's completely open to talk about any type of topic. And you can have as many of these pages as you like. Please notice as I start scrolling down the page, I could customize the content on the front end as well as the color, change pictures in the background. I could drop links in here. Now, some of these links could take me to other parts of Club Express or websites off of Club Express.
Is this a blocks development style? In other words, does Anne, who would be doing the development, would she be adding in blocks and removing blocks?
Something as dynamic as this, we would build out for you, and you would just be managing the content. Or, like I said, we have free tech support, so lean on us for any kind of updates that don't go as well as you would have hoped.
And how do you charge for customization?
It depends on what we're looking to be able to do. I mean, there's tech support and there's customization. Customization very simply starts with a conversation with me saying, Steve, we really need the system to be able to do A, B, and C. I'll grab as many details from you as possible, understanding what the exact feature is and what the process is. And then from there, I'll take it to my development team to see if I spark their interest. If I do spark their interest, at that point, we'll dive in deeper and have a more detailed conversation. And then from that detailed conversation, we will provide a proposal to you, letting you know what exactly the customization is going to deliver, how much time it's going to take, how many hours of programming, and what the fee is going to be for it. We're also going to provide in there a starting date. So you'll know exactly when we plan on starting it and obviously delivering it.
You have
I'm going to go.
several templates, I understand. I looked at the 35-minute video that you have on your site, and it shows
Oh, you were the one who did
backend
that.
for the website.
Sure.
Well, I think Jim did too, but is there any way to see what the templates look like before making
Absolutely.
a decision about any customization?
Well, let's be clear about this. Are we looking at when we say customizations, that's a pretty broad term. If we want to take a look at look and feel, absolutely, we could take a look at the templates. If there's a unique look and feel that you have in mind, such as what was provided to me earlier, I'll simply take it to my development team and say, this is what they're interested in. Or to take it a little bit further than that, give us some more links and say, this is the look and feel that they want. Can it be delivered, and how can we deliver this to them? We just need to have that dialogue.
Let me ask you a quick question. Well, you just scrolled down on the Balloon Club, and it looked like about 5 different blocks. Let's say we want to reduce that to 2. Can that be, is that a template? How do you do that?
We will rearrange it for 2. That's it. This is not a template that we're looking at right now. This is a customizable page.
So that would be
another version.
So you would do it for us and bill us for that service.
We would do it for you as part of one of the packages that you purchased for Club Express to build out your site.
Okay.
Another version of what customizable pages can look like is this panel aspect. Now, previously we were looking at scrolling. Now, as I jump from one panel to the other, once more, customized content and built-in links.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Earlier, I mentioned the calendar. We've actually posted it here. And I hope you notice right away as I start taking a look at the month of October, you're going to notice a lot of color. Everything on top of in the Club Express calendar can be color-coded. Now, the types of items that you put up here include notifications, which is just very simply a heads up. This committee is getting together on this date to talk about this. Hope you could swing by. It's just very simply making somebody aware. The other types of items you can have in here include events. Events you need to register for. And on a case-to-case basis, you would need to pay for them as well. We're going to take a look at the Beekeepers of Indiana Fall Meeting, see what these guys are up to. We have our title. We've got our conference details here. We've got some pricing to go along with it. Again, we're just providing the information regarding this conference. This is where they're going to be staying at. We're going to be talking about honeys as well, different types. And here's our guest speaker. And then when we finally get to the bottom, more detailed information. When is it? Where is it? You could also include in here the contact information and who the person is that's running this. But then you'll notice all the way down at the bottom, registrations required and payment in advance only. We have breakout sessions here. So typical type of breakout sessions that I've come across, maybe it's a conference that's happening at a hotel on a Saturday. Show up in the morning, we're in the hotel ballroom, there's your breakfast buffet, maybe meet some old friends that you haven't seen since last time, do some networking, sit down, have your meal, maybe 1 or 2 speakers in the morning. Then they'll roll out lunch, but in the afternoon, they've got breakout sessions. From 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, you're in this room. And from 2:15 to 3:15, you're in this other room. 3:30, 4:30, et cetera, et cetera. We're able to manage that for you. You'll notice that all the information is provided here for us. I could have different price points based on member, non-member, date of when they registered. I could also talk about how many seats are available. The moral of the story is I'm able to drive people online and they'll get full disclosure, all the details that's happening at the conference, and they're able to manage themselves. Which ones are they going to be?
Is that all also available for virtual attendees? Because of our age demographic, we have a lot of people who don't travel, but actually using Zoom, which we're on now, we use that to allow them to participate in the meetings. And Zoom does include we haven't used the breakout sessions, but they do include that. Do you have that kind of virtual participation capability?
You would be using Zoom in order to do that. You would be dropping in the links to the Zoom sessions within the description of this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then the last thing I wanted to show you is all the way back up top.
Who's the model there for that genial guy? He looks familiar.
It's Basil.
Doesn't he look familiar?
It's Basil. Same shirt, same coat.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely, well, and same genial smile.
Right.
Yeah, right.
All right, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Well, Steve.
Yeah, we don't have that many events, 2 major events a year, but I could see the potential for including state association meetings and something like that.
Absolutely.
Right. And now I scrolled back to the top and I'm clicking on sign up now, and that'll take me through the sign up process.
And the add to my calendar, what calendar is that on their own computer? Would it go to their Outlook or their Google calendar?
It would currently go to their Outlook. We're rolling out, I'm hoping to have by the end of this year, integration with personal Google calendars as well.
Okay. You can work on Apple calendars down the road too.
Yes, that will be, I think that may be part of it as well. And on a side note, the CEO of Club Express runs everything on Mac. So we're always hearing about, I will spread your wishes.
I'm a Mac user since '85.
Amen.
Oh, okay. There's 2 of you in there. Great.
Yeah.
Finally, in the public area, we have Contact Us. So this is where it's going to be a little bit different than what was provided on what I viewed on your screen. For us, at your discretion, you can include your mailing address, phone number, fax number if they're still being used. As we start scrolling down, who the key contacts are. Notice as I'm taking my mouse and hovering over the president's email address, it's not a live link. That's been done intentionally in order to avoid spam. Scrolling down a little bit further, we have some built-in help where you can fire off an email. I'm simply just going to drop down the menu and highlight who the recipient is going to be of this email. And then from here, I could go ahead and just drop in my message to them. CAPTCHA code all the way down the bottom in order to avoid the spammers.
And that runs completely on your servers.
Kind of. Club Express has subcontracted with a server farm whose responsibility is to make sure that the servers are up and running, that they are properly encrypted and secured, and they are backed up, including uninterrupted power supply. The servers are up and running, for those who understand the tech term, 4 nines.
Got it.
And as I mentioned earlier, tech support, here's how you could get in touch with us. Again, this is the public area. Now, one thing I need to highlight is that you are in complete control as to what's public and what's private. To go into the private area, you need to have a username and password, and those credentials will identify you to the system. To enter that area, I'm simply going to go up here to the upper right-hand side, click on Member Login, and start my registration process. But before we log in, I just want to highlight some information that may not jump to the surface. Looking at the URL, I'm hoping you follow my mouse, you'll notice that it starts with HTTPS. We're already in a secured session, and we haven't even put in our username and password yet. This is something that we have a big focus on, that we're very sensitive to, making sure that the Club Express platforms are properly encrypted and lockdown.
Yeah, we have that for our member area. We're rolling it out to some of our other websites.
Great. The one thing you want to be aware of is, though, is the sign-up page secured, or is it once they get into the private area, is it secured?
Everything relating to member-specific information is 100% encrypted and secure.
Excellent. This is where you put in your username and password. Much like other cloud-based solutions like Club Express, I'm speaking about Facebook or Amazon. I could go ahead and check off on that box, remember me on this computer, and that way I never have to log in again. We have some built-in help, forgot my username and password. For members who didn't check off on that box, the system will simply ask them, what is your name and your email address in order to do a test versus what's on file. If it matches up, it'll automatically generate an email to the address that's on file with their username and a new temporary password. And finally, on the bottom, click here for assistance. This is the tech support I spoke about earlier. Club Express, it will provide tech support to the whole association, not just leadership or admins, but the members as well can give us a call. Hours of service are from 7:30 in the morning until 6 o'clock in the evening, Central Time, Monday through Friday. And it's been known that email is checked outside of those hours. All right, so with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and log in. Go ahead and log in. And now I'm in the secured privileged members only area. Right away, my menu has changed. I'm going to scroll down a little and notice now this is a live link. Again, we're in that secured members only area, so we're going to feel very confident with the information that we provided. We logged in with a username and password, and because of that, the system identified us as Martin Smith. And because of our username and password, the system also identified us as, you owe some money. That's why there's a $sign next to his name. If I go ahead and click on that $sign, I'll get basically a line item detail of his account. What happened, when it happened, and for how much. And then at this point, just go ahead and say, I'll pay my donation that I said I'll give, and here's my registration. And then I'll go through the payment method in order to settle my balance. If I take my mouse and hover over Martin Smith's name, I actually have a drop-down menu up here. This top portion is information that's being pulled out of the membership directory. Picture that you've posted so people could put a face and a name together, name, email address, phone number. Again, this is the information that you've said you are sharing within the membership directory. In the lower portion, this is where you log out of the system. Once more, the system reminding you, you owe some money. If your membership is up for renewal, a link will automatically appear in this area, letting you know you can renew your membership. And then finally, profile. I've gone into the member profile area, and this is where members come manage themselves. I have a snapshot of information up top, membership summary, type of membership you have, what's your status, when does it expire, when you first joined, when you last renewed. Personal info grouping. Notice if I take my mouse and hover over any of these items, and I'm picking on contact info, you're going to get a little note up here. Maintain your name, address, phone number, email address. Again, the perspective of members being able to manage themselves, they could simply jump in here, log in just like we did, and change their email address from Hotmail to Gmail or put their new cell phone in there. Underneath that, additional member data. This is where we start grabbing that customized information. I spoke about this earlier as part of the sign-up process to becoming a member. But how about if you're already a member? How do we get that information from you? Well, this is where you'd be able to come in here and start providing us that information. Completely customizable, whatever you'd like it to be, just as simple as typing away on Word. We've got these red dots here, signifying we need to have this information from you. We provide 21 different types of answers. So on the administrative side of things, you're able to start capturing that information, put it into something like Excel, and at that point, start slicing and dicing, doing your own data mining in order to capture that information that makes the most, that would best serve you. I'm going to go into the standard member directory at this point. And this is where you dictate what information you're going to be making available to your other members. Visibility settings dictates what information am I making available. I could show everything within the directory, all my information, or don't even list me within the directory. And then I get bits and pieces of that in between.
Okay, so this is still the individual member can set that.
Maybe.
It's not the, okay.
And the reason I say maybe is because there are basically two options. Either you're going to open it up for members to be able to decide for themselves, this is what I'm going to be displaying within the membership directory. The flip side of that is, no, everybody's locked down and they're going to be showing the same piece of information. Basically choosing one of these options. But it's only a single option. You're locking it down saying, this is what you're going to be showing. So either the leadership comes in and locks one of those down, or they make it open and each member gets to decide for themselves what they will be showing.
Yeah, we've had abuse of our directory. We used to have a directory, and one of our leading members abused that and cost us a lot of members.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Very simply, you could deactivate it with Club Express. All right. Any kind of social networking that's going on could be built into here as well. Please notice we support all major platforms. We have a bio section where people can talk a little bit more about who they are, their background, what they're all about. Very traditional word setup here. I could even include emojis and videos, various types of media. And this is where I would be able to upload a picture so people could put a face and a name together.
Can you rearrange having the social network items come after the biography? Or is that set up that way?
That is set up that way.
Okay.
Financial historical data. Everything is captured from day one. What payments have been made, how they've been made, why they were made. You could store your credit card in here as well. Make life a little bit easier to register for events and make payments. Any kind of additional charges that have been levied against members would be able to be detailed here. Is volunteering a criteria to keeping your membership?
No.
All right. More and more organizations that come across our way, they're making it a criteria. They'd love to be able to get 10, 15 hours a year out of their members to volunteer. But we'll just making you aware it's available.
Well, I think we actually, when we were working on the prior one, we said that we'd like to see that in the future, but what Ann said is correct.
All right. So to be determined, to be spoken about later.
Well, I mean,
in the forums area.
When you say a membership requirement, can you have a requirement like that that's limited to board members only?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay, I think what Basil was talking about was having a requirement for the board, because we're in an organization like ours that has many people who are over 90 and quite a few who are over 100. You can't really expect a person who's 102 to commit to volunteering.
Absolutely, I certainly sympathize with that. That's pretty obvious once you start talking out loud about it. In the forums panel, all the way down here on the bottom, this is where you set up the details as to how you will be participating within the forums. For example, which ones are you going to be participating in? Some forums can be made open, and by that I mean if you're a member, you're able to participate in them, reading and writing. Some of these others can have some security built onto it. For example, if you belong to a committee, you can read what's going on within the committee forums, however you can't write to them. Some others, though, could be locked down. This is a great way for the board, for example, to have their own private line of communication that nobody else even knows about. The same type of security features can be applied to the documents module. I could have some folders that are public in the public area. I could have some other folders that are for all members. some specific to committees. Once more, locking down others because they belong to the board.
Yeah,
And your username and password determine what you will have access to.
yeah, we're implementing that. Let me ask you though, with something that's come up. Let's say that we want to upload PDF forms, PDF files, articles, that sort of thing. How do you handle PDFs?
Same way we will handle all files. We're indifferent to what format that is because we support everything.
So how do they then appear? How would access to them appear on your website?
Members only, documents.
Okay.
Let's go to club policies. Here's a list of all the files that are in that folder. I go ahead and click.
I see you've got Adobe there. Good.
All right.
So you would also
click on it.
could have links on the website for the public to link. Where would those be stored?
Again, those files would be stored here. You would simply have a folder in here called public.
Okay.
So then I would go to the home page and I would have a link in here. For example, let's call it the November newsletter. I would click on it and it would take me to that area where that pop-up appeared. Or I could print it, save it, read it, whatever I'd like by using the download feature.
Okay, so it's the webmaster would go under the hood to set up the link, but they'd be pulling the documents from this documents section?
From this document module where the folder is.
Okay. So there could be, this is also where you'd set the folders for private, for the board, or wherever you needed private documents.
So what I would do is I'd come over here to the arrow. Can everybody see this little menu popping open?
Yeah.
All right, come over here and I'd click on edit. And I just flipped you over from the membership perspective, and now I'm in the administrative perspective.
Okay.
I'm going to go back here to club policies. I go ahead and click on this, just click on it. And you'll notice as soon as I hovered over it, it becomes highlighted. And at that point I click and I can edit the folder. When we're talking about editing the folder, we're talking about the name, the order of where it appears in the tree, the security clearance, who gets to see it. For adding a subfolder, it could be something along the lines for the board of directors, for example. I could have a folder in there called BOD Docs, Board of Directors. And then the subfolder is going to be January, February, March. Here are the key files you need for your board meeting. And you can archive them in there as well. Now, earlier it was asked, well, how do we get them up here? Well, I'm going to go ahead and click on View Documents. Is everyone still seeing this? I get nervous because I've closed the camera.
Yeah,
okay.
no,
So here's the table giving me all the information regarding the files that are in there. The title, when it was created, visibility. Once more, we're talking about security. Who gets to see it? How many times it's been viewed and downloaded, format that it's in. We support everything. Any kind of maintenance I need to do on the right-hand side. To upload the document, I'm going to click on Add Document. I get a new window pop open. So what folder does it go into? The title, the description, tags. What are the keywords that I could associate with this file so I could do a search and be able to find it? Who the author is, any kind of dates I need to be respective of, visibility, once more, who gets to see it, and then finally selecting the document. The same types of steps that I take when I drill down into my computer to grab a file and attach it to an email is what I'm doing here. And at that point, I hit save and it's uploaded. So the rule of thumb is, very simply, if you could attach a file to an email, you could upload a document into Club Express.
oh, that's
Now,
nice. You don't have to use FTP to get it up there. Okay.
Nope, it's that simple. But here's what I think is the really cool part about this. You've heard me say already a couple of times, we have 20 different modules. And they've been engineered in such a way that they think and they act almost identical to each other. If I understand how to use one module, I understand how to use them all. We're not reinventing the wheel. It's the same handful of moves that I'm doing over and over again that allow me to do all kinds of different things. So for example, I just showed you how you upload a document. This is how you upload everything into Club Express. What this means to you is that your ramp up time to understanding how to use this is short, simple, and quick, because it's the same moves that you're doing over and over again, allowing you to do all kinds of different things.
Yeah, consistent look and feel is important. By the way, in the very beginning, you mentioned you had 4 tool components, and I wrote down look and feel, public area, private members area.
Now we're in the members area. The third one is the members area. That's where we're at right now.
Oh, I see. Is there there's a 4th area then?
The 4th area is the administrative area.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, good.
All right. So, and the other thing I wanted to highlight is going back here to the menu on the side. Oh, I lost it. Let me go back. I'm going to go over here. I'm driving too fast. Just bear with me. Is this edit item? Now, you've heard me say already a couple of times that your username and password drive who you are within Club Express. But who you are basically boils down to being one of 3 types of people. You can be a member. This is going to be the most common kind, who has access to their own account and whatever's been made available in the members only area. The flip side of this is something you're going to be familiar with, and I'm going to volunteer, and probably the most familiar with, is going to be an administrator who gets to control everything throughout the whole site.
Oh, yippee!
Look, all right, so everything will be underneath your control. The look, the feel, which modules have been activated, what they're called, uploading all kinds of things, blasting out emails, etc., etc., etc. All will be underneath your control. In between the 2 of them is somebody that we refer to as a coordinator. A coordinator is a member who's been given specific above and beyond rights and privileges. For example, whenever I'm speaking with large professional associations, I speak to them about that one person who stands up and says, I volunteer to be the director of this year's golf outing. Well, I'm not going to turn around and make them an admin, give them access to everything throughout the whole platform. I want to limit the scope of what they're able to see and do to everything regarding the golf outing. Think about your event management team or your finance team. You're not going to make everybody on there an admin, give them access to the full buffet. I want to be able to say, Steve, you get to do A, B, and C. Jack, you get to do X, Y, Z. Basil, you get to do 1, 2, and 3. I'm limiting the scope of what they're able to see and do. The moral of the story is whenever you see this edit item appear, you have administrative rights and privileges on that page.
Okay, well, we have a special category of what you're describing, because we have there are roughly 2,000 communities across the country, and we'd like to be able to enroll people who live in each one of these, and they prefer to deal, if they can, with somebody who lives in their community. So ideally,
are these chapters?
Not necessarily, but some are. So we would like to be able to authorize champions for membership in each community to be able to assist people and to have access perhaps to the data on the members in that community, but limited in that way.
Fully supported.
Okay, that's what I thought I saw that in one of your videos, but I just want to confirm it.
No, it's fully supported.
And so
if we want to be able,
that champion can can then be given deposit privileges, but not withdrawal privileges.
Sure.
So that's correct. They could deposit checks if necessary.
Yes.
Or help with credit cards as a coordinator position.
Yes.
Okay.
The way this would be done. Okay, so let's get into the administrative area. We have this link up here labeled Control Panel. It only appears when you're an admin or a coordinator. Again, it's driven off of your username and password. This whole time we've been logged in as an admin, I've just been peeling away the layers, showing you different components. Go ahead and hit Control Panel, and now we're peeking behind the curtain where the wizard is, and this is where all the magic is done. I'm clicking on Club, and before we start taking a look at the nuts and bolts here, I just want to scroll down this page and notice that it's broken apart into 3 different areas. These same 3 areas exist in all the control panel tabs. Admin functions is towards the top, which are the most common administrative functions, followed by reports. Club Express is stocked with over 260 reports and exports available to you in Word, PDF, HTML, CSV, and Excel. On the bottom, we have Setup. Now, Setup does have admin functions. However, you don't touch them that often, maybe just a couple times a year, versus the ones up top in the admin functions area, you may touch them a couple times a week. So in order to better manage the real estate of the screen, the things you need to have handy towards the top and things not too much out of the way towards the bottom. I'm going to go to the Setup area. I'm clicking on Admins and Coordinators. Up top, pretty simple, admins have access to everything. And that's why we would just simply add somebody as an admin. But a coordinator is a little bit different. So we would be able to click on Add Coordinator. And now we got very simply what looks like a score sheet, where I would come in here and just start checking off boxes, highlighting what Steve is able to do.
Okay, let's, I've got 2 things in my mind. One is we have a need for very old people to allow a family member to manage their record for them. And so we've set that up so that those records can be linked and they can authorize a family member to have privileges for managing their membership. So that's one thing that we have in our current system. The other is how would let's say that we wanted to give MacKay access only to those people who live at Charlestown CCRC. How would that be done?
Okay, we have, the first example was a family member, I believe it was, being given permission.
Could be a spouse, maybe.
All right. So that's pretty simple. In most cases, we can have a family type membership set up where there'll be the same username and password being used for that family. And very simply log on to the system. The system remembers who you are because you checked off on that box and updates the account. Payments can be processed. That's built-in functionality.
So we won't know whether it was the member who made the change or the family member. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so because that's something I'm going to get to later, which is the transaction log, because I assume you'll have a complete transaction log. Everything that takes place, log is kept.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. That's a little different from what we have now, because now, if the family member changes something for the member's record, let's say the child changes the inheritance in favor of the child. But to take an example that's not relevant here, but can happen, we're able to track that.
Yeah, that's something that is in development right now. We call it an audit trail to be able to determine what got changed at what point by whom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in development.
We have members that they join as a couple, so they pay a different rate than a single. How does that work if you have a couple joining versus an individual?
Well, we now use the linking to bring that about.
Right. Club Express supports family type membership types. So if you have a couple joining, whoever the key contact is would be the primary member. And then the other spouse would be put in as a tertiary level. They're linked together, and that would be the way to accommodate it.
Okay. Yeah, we treat everybody as individuals. What about people who have been lost? Let's say their membership lapses. Do we keep them on the database so we know they're there?
So what happens when anybody has a lapsed membership is that they'll very simply fall off the active list into the non-active list. So let's say 2 years come by and say, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to actually rejoin them right now. They're able to actually go back in and reestablish their account. For example, if they log in with their previous username and password, the system will say, "Oh, Steve, you're not a current member. You need to renew your membership. You need to make payment. Click on this link in order to make payment." That the whole history has been basically frozen, and it's just been set aside. And once payment is made, it'll be reactivated.
Yeah, no, that's very good. We want to be able to maintain contact with those people. And quite often what happens with us is they simply overlook it, or their daughter pays their bills and she overlooked it. That's the kind of thing that we most often encounter.
So let's see how we can work our way around that. I'm going to simply just scroll down to the bottom of the page so I can stay in the control panel. And I'm going to go to the People tab. I'm scrolling to the bottom into the setup area, and we have our renewal expiration settings.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing we need to determine is what kind of calendar is being run. Do we have 12 months of membership from the date that we joined, or is everybody renewing and expiring at the same time?
We have both. We have Village on the Green, for example. Everybody joins, I think is it December 1st? And at many other communities, it's just member year.
This is going to be interesting because we need to have a single calendar. We cannot blend them without going to a chapter model.
Well, I'm going to jump in just briefly on that, because ours at Village on the Green, that's how they do it for a different organization. But our individual NaCCRA membership here, we've got a little over 100. They're all whenever they join. It's on the anniversary date.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
Well, I'll correct that. Carpenters then. Instead of using Village on the Green, Basil as the example, I'll use Estates of Carpenters.
All right. The same thing still holds true. There could only be a single type of calendar.
Yeah, they also collect a pro rata. For example, if somebody, Estates of Carpenters, let's say the common renewal date is December 1st. If they join in November, they charge them 1/12 of a year's dues.
Yeah. That's a challenge because there's 1,001 different ways to do prorated membership types. Club Express does not support them. 95% of the organizations out there are running these two types of calendars. Either everybody gets 12 months of membership from the date they joined, or everybody's renewing and expiring at the same time.
Yeah, I understand.
So something to be something to be discussed.
Well, I think it would probably mean that NaCCRA would have to change its policies and not be as flexible.
Right. As we scroll down here, our renewal notices.
Now,
So
are
Club
those
Express
sent
support.
automatically by the system?
Yes, they are per your settings. So let's pick on the Northwest Balloon Club. They're sending out 3 notifications. That's the most you could send out. The first one is being sent out by email, and there's no email address on file. Club Express on your behalf will print out the renewal notices and mail them, first class postage. Second one, email only, and third one, just like the first. And again, these are just drop-down menus, and you get to pick and choose exactly how the system will work for you. They're also sent out 5, 30, and -5 days. 50, 30, and -5 days, excuse me. Okay, so what does all this mean? 50 days before membership expires, Club Express starts blasting out emails. You get to customize the language. Steve, thank you very much for being a member of NaCCRA. It's been a blast having you around. In about 50 days, your membership will be expiring. Please click on this link in order to renew. I click on the link. It takes me to this area right here, which says Martin Smith. Within here will be the membership link renewal. And then I just go through the renewal process. And I'm done in 2 minutes. That's at 50 days. The second wave is going to go out 30 days. And the same thing is going to happen with one extra step. Club Express, being a smart system, is actually going to look back in time and say, all right, before we start blasting out emails, how many people actually renewed their membership? Now clean them out so you're not getting any kind of duplicates. Now I got a clean batch, send them the renewal notices. And the same thing is going to happen with...
That process is done automatically?
Yes.
Cleaning out Okay, so you're only mailing to the people that haven't responded.
Exactly.
The system is, it's not a manual process.
Correct. I set this up
Okay.
once, I walk away, it's on autopilot.
Okay,
The third notification is being sent out -5 days. That means 5 days after their membership expires, that final notification is going out. And once more, just in case I wasn't clear, you get to dictate the language per each notice, as well as how they go out and when they go out. In the world of Club Express, if I make any changes and save them, you should consider them live. So for example, that 30-day, you know what, we're going to change it. I'm going to make it 25. I scroll to the bottom, I hit save, and that's it. It just updated itself to be 25 days. Down here in the expirations area, what we're speaking to is human nature. For example, expiration. I get my renewal notice sent to me, and right away my thoughts are, oh, you know what, it's going to take me 5 minutes to do it, but it's going to take me 5 weeks to finally get around to actually doing it. So what do we want to happen to people who actually expired? Do we want to lock them out of the system? Do we want to give them a delay? Yeah, you know what, we'll float them for another 10 days. That means for 10 days, they keep logging in as if they are a full-fledged member. However, on the 11th day, once more, Club Express, being a smart system, is going to recognize you're an expired member, and it's going to give them a note letting them know that, Steve, you're an expired member. Please click on this link in order to renew. What we're trying to do here is take away one of the biggest pains that organizations go through, and that's membership renewal.
well, that saves a lot of time for volunteers.
Well, yeah, the point is I set it up once, I walk away, and it goes on autopilot.
Right.
So I just hit cancel. I'm back on the People tab. I'm going to go into Member Manager. So the point of Member Manager is being able to manually enter the database and make updates. So you're going to have a very polarized community here. You're going to have people who are either very, very tech savvy, such as yourselves, because here we are Zooming and going through this demo, or you're going to have people who don't even have a computer and an email in their house. We need to be able to cater to all walks of life. This is where Member Manager comes into play, because I need to manually make updates. I'm going to give you the shortcut version here. I just go ahead and hit on search, and here's my database on the bottom. And I'm just picking on Brett Abrams here because I noticed that there's a $sign on his account here, very obviously stating he owes some money. So let's just say, for argument's sake, I just got a check from Brett Abrams. I would look him up. There's my $sign. I go ahead and click on it. And here we are back in here as an admin looking at Brett Abrams' account. He sent us a check for $100. There's this payment. Let's go ahead and see and settle our balance. We received a check, and I put in my check number, any kind of notes to go along with it, and record check payment. That's it. That's all it takes to be able to process a payment.
So is that something Club Express would do if we're paying the?
This is exactly what we would
check?
be doing for the check. This is exactly what we would be doing for the checks that are sent to us.
So
Okay.
that's what you charge the 80 cents for, right?
Well, we charge the 80 cents to do this, and then I obviously do the math to see how much money we need to ACH over to you.
That was a question I had earlier. It looked like, I think I read that in your presentation.
Yeah, we try to make life very simple here. And then the same thing holds true. If I'm hovering over here, these people have need to renew their membership. They could be calling people up locally saying, hi, it's George Aba. Can I please renew my membership? And then I go ahead and click on it, and I'll go through the renewal process. Once more, I'm logged in as an administrator, So I have permission to be able to do that.
Oh, that reminds me of another thing that we have. We have there are independent state associations as well as our national association. So let's say that a state association has dues of $35, and people complain that they have to write 2 checks. So what we've been developing was the ability where they would write 1 check for $55, and we would immediately port 35 of the $55 to the state association with their membership information, so that they would be going through NaCCRA as a conduit to the state instead of having to have 2 separate interactions. So does that work?
That works when the state is taking advantage of our chapter capabilities, and that way you could have NaCCRA National setting up whatever their price points are. You could have individual price points for dues for each state, and then on top of that, each state could have their own bank account. So I would be able to come in here and process payments.
That's not going to happen. The states are not. The states are proud of their independence. So we would just be providing a service to members who want to help themselves. But the states think of themselves as primary. They don't think of NaCCRA as primary.
Well, yeah.
I'll have to talk to my development team. I don't know how we would be able to facilitate that.
Well,
Writing one
chapter,
payment.
Let's say, I mean, in Maryland, I think, I would push for NaCCRA to have a chapter so that we could pay one dues for both.
And that's exactly the way it would work out. And you would be logging in, and then you'd be taking a look at NaCCRA National as a member, and then your state would have its own area.
The NaCCRA members website that now exists. The thing that he's been working on was developing the ability to receive that money, and without NaCCRA without Maryland having to do anything different, they would simply receive a membership that would be ported to them from NaCCRA. So we wouldn't need any agreement from the states. We'd just be providing a service to our members that NaCCRA members could pay their state dues with 1 check.
Again, I'll have to go talk to my development team. I don't see how we would be able to deliver that with them not being chapters. So they may know something I don't.
No, so
well,
where's their information about
I'm sorry, I'm hearing 2 voices.
Yeah, we'd have to persuade the states to come on to Club Express, and that might be very difficult, particularly for Florida.
Well, I think there might be some other states that would jump on it. At least I mean, how is the chapter system set up? Is there any paperwork? There isn't any contract or anything, is there? Or they would just pay the fee for the monthly management?
They would, no, actually, we'd look at things a little bit differently here at Club Express. There would be a fee to set up their own specific site, but because there's one database running everything behind the scenes, it would be national that would be paying for the cumulative number of people. And then however they handle it with state would be between the 2 of them. So the benefit to the states coming in is because you're not starting the meter again from 0. Okay, let me explain. Let's say, for example, NaCCRA National has 2,000 members. They're going to be billed at 2,000 members. The state of Illinois, let's say, has got 500 members that have dual citizenship, state of Illinois as well as national. We're not going to start the meter for state of Illinois having between 0 to 500. They're going to be part of the 2,000. So their rate is going to be discounted because they're part of national. So for example, for 500 members, let me actually just show this to you and you could actually see it for yourself. Did you just see the new tab open up?
Yes. Everything's cool.
All right. So we see the Club Express side. We see people sitting around the table.
We sure do.
Yeah.
Paul's heading.
All right. I'm going to pricing, and I'm hovering over here. Everybody see this little pop-up appear?
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
seen it before.
Okay. So here's what I'm talking about, the magic of being able to discount this once we start getting chapters. 2,000 members is 18 cents. All right. However, 500 is 32 cents. So the state of Illinois, who comes in with 500 members, normally they would be charged 32 cents. But because their information also exists in the national, they're only being charged 18 cents.
Okay, let's use
Their portion of it.
Well, let me suggest a real example. Florida has about 400 members in the national organization. There are 13,000 in the Florida organization.
Are these actual members, or we're talking about the size of the database?
These are the actual members. Florida
Okay.
has 13,000 individual dues-paying members, and of those, roughly 400 also pay dues to national.
Okay.
No, I think this has some real, I'm going to do it shortly because I know I'm messing up your sound, but that has real benefit here because we have 100 and some NaCCRA members here. We also have a bunch of FLYCRA members, and they're the same data. And we have, for your information, Steve, 40 of these communities, or what you're calling chapters, and we have 10 state organizations. And for the members that are mutual in both state and community, same data bank. So what you've just described has real potential.
Let me just elaborate.
We think so.
Okay, let me elaborate on what Basil just said. We have probably hundreds of communities where people live, and we track that as a data element because that's a key data element. Of those hundreds, maybe 40 pay $200 a year for a community membership in NaCCRA, which doesn't really provide very material benefits. Likewise, of 50 states and 5 major territories, we have 10 states that pay annual dues of $500, but we keep track of all of the states as a data element.
Okay. I have to map this out, and I'll put some notes together and get it back to you.
And one of the
But what I've
things
heard is, Jack, give me one moment. I don't want to lose this thought. What I heard is, you could belong to the state chapter without belonging to the national, correct?
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay.
In fact, most people do.
Why don't they want to join national?
Because they don't think it's useful.
All right.
And but to continue with Basil's thought, he's very concerned about those memberships. A community member that's a separate kind of membership, and so you might have somebody who's an individual member, and then they may be separately the contact person for the state or the contact person for the community, and they may not understand that their being contact person for the community does not give them individual membership. So
Right.
So Basil wants the ability to address those community members and state members very differently from the way he addresses individual members.
I understand. Okay. Some homework to be done. All right. What else can I show you?
I think we're doing very well. I think you've about covered it. Let me just ask you a couple of quick things. One,
Sure, Jack.
We now get very elaborate membership reports showing, showing our membership by types of membership. So that's one thing. I think. So could you show us, like, let's say Basil wants a list of all of the members at Village on the Green in Florida? How would he get that?
Well, we'd come up here, and we've already highlighted, somehow or another, we've highlighted that there is that area within there. I would come into here and start exploring contact lists or membership info, 15 reports for contact lists, 24 for membership info, in order to find out exactly which report would best serve me.
Well, presumably if you have community and you have state as a data element, clearly, and we know which states have associations. Of course, we don't know which individuals are also members of the state association, but we do have the states. Well, what we need, I assume you would add a data element for the residential community where people live.
We can. That would be one way of doing it.
One way that I have used it in the older system was by zip code. We do have unique zip codes for the most part.
Yeah, but
Okay.
we must have community CCRC. We must have that as a data element. That's
Okay, Jack, do me a favor. And give me one moment here. Jack, do me a favor. I know you have my email address. If there are specific reports and you know what those data elements are, send them over to me, and I'll look them up to see how we could deliver them.
okay.
Well,
Then the last thing I had here on my list was this, what you call the audit trail, what I call transaction log. I assume that every element, everything that flows through the system is recorded in a permanent log so that we can trace history back, and if there's any glitch and go back in time and find out exactly what occurred. Is that, I just want to confirm.
Well, are we looking, so when we say log, are we looking at financials or are we looking at data?
Everything, every time somebody interacts with the system, I assume you know that they did.
Let me correct you then. We do not track that. That is the audit trail that I spoke about earlier. That's something that we have in development. We take for granted that people are able to manage their accounts to make sure that that is their proper email address and that's their proper cell phone in there. And if not, they could very simply just come up here, go to profile, go to contact info, and oh, look, I inverted the numbers. It's not supposed to be 18, it's supposed to be 81. Hit save, and now it's updated.
So do you save in a transaction log the fact that that number was changed?
No.
Oh,
but you do have some kind of history that shows transactions of some sort for the individual member. Is there an administrator function
What we do
for
track
that?
is transaction history.
could we look at that? Yeah, that's what we're looking at. And so.
Okay. This is financial. Let's be clear about this.
Oh, it's purely financial.
Yes, sir.
Oh. Because, for example, I forget the woman's name, but the other day she logged in and she had one place. She said, "Your system's no good. I can't log in." And I logged in once, but now it won't let me in. And she had started changing one letter in her username instead of, and so we were able to look at the transaction log and find out what her problem was and resolve it.
Got it.
But that would be taken care of through the technical assistance if she called and said, "I can't log in."
Yeah, they
Your
Absolutely.
line people would fix it, right? They could
Yes.
go in and see what the problem was.
Yeah.
Well, they could turn around and say, "I'm not getting any phone calls. I'm not getting any emails. I can't log in." And my people would be able to jump on the site and say, "Well, here's your email address. It's sraftis@hotmail.com. No, it's supposed to be at Gmail. Let me update it for you."
Yeah. Yeah. No, we had one the other day where the guy, his email bounced because he left the G out in Gmail, and there is a mail.com, of course. So I mean, we're dealing with an older demographic here, and these are people who have arthritis.
And we're very familiar with this demographic. I don't think if I failed to mention this, that in Chicago, we support an organization called the Saints. The Saints are volunteers in the Chicagoland area. There's about 4,000 of them that are ushers at the local theaters and where they do plays and musicals. And this is how I'm able to speak with this kind of experience. We understand the polarization of tech experience. You have people who are very, very tech savvy and people who are like, I forgot my username and password. Please help me log in. Like, well, do you see the little link there that says, forgot your username and password? Well, you know what? The other 10 times I've logged in, I figured it's just as easy to call in one more time. Well, let me help you, and let's check off on that box. Remember me on this computer, and that way you won't have to make any phone calls to us again.
Okay, good. I'm glad you've got that experience because it's hard to explain it otherwise. You have to
No.
experience
We understand it, and I was one of the biggest proponents of, especially when it comes time for them to renew, they're always calling us up saying, are you sure we can't give you payment over the phone? No, let me show you exactly how you do payment and walk you through exactly how that would be done.
Okay. Well, this is very helpful. Thank you.
I'd like to address the issue of communities or chapters, along with your potential for handling forums and surveys. Right now, that looks like it would have a lot of potential for educational events at the local level or even on a broader scale. Would the chapter leads be able to host educational events using? Yes, they can do that. How broadly would?
If it's done at the chapter, if we have the chapter set up, they would be able to do it. They would be able to host it
40 chapters we got
by themselves. Yes.
Okay.
All right. And I think I have your email as well. So I'm going to actually get you the information regarding our chapter management. We call it multi-tier internally, but it really comes down to chapter management.
Do you have what's your backup mechanism?
How is the data backed up?
Yeah.
We actually have RAID servers, so it's actually being mirrored from one hard drive to another. So if anything would ever go wrong, we just basically pull out one of the hard drives would get pulled out, the other one will get pulled in, and it'll start actually building the new one, and then overnight it's backed up.
So we don't have to worry about any kind of backup or any updates?
No, all that's done for you. But just in case you have somebody who is very zealous, they would very simply come over here to the club tab, and they'd go to exports, and they would be able to back up the information whenever they would want.
And I think that's what we give Basil the reports he likes.
The other thing is there a way to keep track of history of website changes, content on the website?
No, not at this time.
Steve, we talked earlier, not on this call, about integrating with QuickBooks Online. You said that was coming next month.
It's scheduled to be delivered in December. Right now, we support QuickBooks desktop windows. I'm simply going to go over the money section. Here's my QuickBooks exports. Don't hold me to this. I'm imagining it'll be the same type of format. I'm speculating. I'm going to repeat that again and again. I'm guessing at this point. But very simply, you would come here and say, what kind of exports do I want to do as far as financials? What time period I'm looking at? Notice that almost all of these are locked down, but I could also have a custom range where I put in date 1, date 2, and then create the new export. At this point, a report is created, and then I would upload it into QuickBooks. I'm imagining it's the same types of steps as attaching a file to an email.
Steve, did I see that there is an extra charge on the export to QuickBooks in your?
It is a one-time setup fee of $100 to integrate QuickBooks with Club Express.
Okay.
Is there any way to handle lifetime members in this system?
Yes, there is. I'm simply going to come over here where it says Control Panel, going to the People tab, and I'm going to go to Member Types. I could have as many different membership types as I want, and look, there's actually a lifetime member in here. Now, here's the interesting thing.
Okay.
When somebody becomes eligible for a lifetime member, We do not make it publicly available. Only admins can see it. And they would very simply come in here, flip a switch, making Steve a lifetime member, and then everything will just ripple out behind the scenes, making that update for you. You do not want to make the lifetime membership available because most of the time it's either coming with one big number or no number at all. Many of the organizations that we deal with, you've been a member for 30 years, we're going to compliment you with a lifetime membership, so no more
Yeah,
payment
well,
of
here
dues for you.
we have, people can pay $200 and become a lifetime member.
So same thing happens here, except with,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's no problem.
Okay.
Fully supported. You would just very simply come in here and where we see duration, you just fudge that around a little and make it, 200 months or 300 months or something like that.
Back to the demographics, I would really like to know whether the training, in your opinion, is beneficial at the chapter level. In other words, if I could see this being a real impetus for membership if it could be demonstrated at the local CCRC. What's your experience with the training? How valuable is that $100 or $1,000 that you asked for?
Well, training. And we're talking about a gray area here, Basil, because when we're talking about training, we need to keep in mind there's free tech support built in the Club Express, so everyone will be able to call us and say, "Hi, it's Steve from Chicago. Can you log onto my site? I'm having a problem with A, B, and C." That's already built-in services. When we're talking about training, we're talking about, okay, let's build an agenda. We're going to go over these 10 items, and we're going to set aside some time. We're going to go Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock Central Time. And here's our agenda. And for something like that, we will bill for because it's something that's being set aside, and we are having a specific plan for you. That, when we're setting aside the plan, that's what we call training. Other than that, it's a quick 5-10 minute conversation. That's tech support that's built into the pricing of Club Express. I'm just drawing lines here for you, Basil, to understand. Does it fall on one side or does it fall on the other?
That's fair.
So you're nodding your...
That's fair.
All right, so you're nodding your head in
if I wanted to have a cadre of people who at various places like the chapters who are good at using the systems for surveys and educational events and whatever other things that we can communicate across, is that worth a training session, or could we do that just by picking it up?
You know what? You make a very interesting point. So there's going to be a couple things I can mention here. I'm going to go back here to the Club Express website. I'm going to go to resources, and I'm going to highlight the webinars. Okay? These are webinars that we're hosting, and surveys is actually coming up. And I saw this earlier today, and that's why it came to mind. But you make an interesting point. You're enabling here a culture. We want to embed a process. This is how things are done at the chapter level, and have it tied in as tight as possible. It may be worth setting up a training session where we're going to talk about surveys, document modules, and event setup and membership management. And that way, those types of things are done for the chapter champions. I think that's the term you used earlier. That may be a worthwhile investment on your part. Again, to be determined.
Yeah. I think Jack and I are convinced that right now we don't give a lot of value for that chapter membership. And one of the values could be the ability to produce something for the residents who are members.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So,
by the way, I noticed here that you did know Zoom. When we were talking earlier today, I wasn't sure that you did, but it sounds like you've discovered Zoom as we did, because I noticed you use it for your webinars. But
right.
Anyway, I think the key to building our membership is to create value chapter by or community by community, whether they're chapters or not. You know, the first step is to show them value. Then they may become chapters, and by building value at that level, that's where the members live. That's where they have their lives.
So can there be a chapter without being a member of the national?
Well, there are
I
many,
don't-
many.
Not the way we're set up
Yeah,
now.
they're called independents, and they would not be tied into the system.
Yeah.
Okay. But could you have a chapter that have some NaCCRA members and some that weren't? So you could just have the chapter of your NaCCRA members?
I want to do my homework on that. That's
Okay.
something a little bit different, and I'm leaning on the example that Jack gave earlier. And sorry to volunteer you, but my notes say that, for example, in the state of Florida, there's 400 national and 13,000 local state chapters, state members. How would something like that be managed within Club Express?
Right, because like in Maryland, we have 3,000 members, but maybe 50 in NaCCRA.
Right. And sorry for showing you at the top of my head. I'm writing notes.
It's okay.
So I want to be able to tell. So going back along the lines of creating value, as Basil had mentioned, one of the ways we're able to do that is with communications. We really open up the lines of communications here for you. Emailing's built into Club Express, complimentary, as well as blogs, forums, news articles, people finding out the latest and the greatest of what's happening. Surveys can be conducted out of Club Express. Again, no extra fee. More and more organizations are using the surveys module as a way to conduct elections. I could also run reports to tell me what the bad emails are. Now, in the world of Club Express, there's about 30 different automated emails that occur. We talked a little bit about this earlier with renewals. This is where I can manage the language for each and every one of them. I simply would come up here, click on the pencil, customize the language, and then return the previous page, and it's updated. Support, this is something that I've been screaming from the mountaintops about, but we provide more than just in person. You can get online help. We have an old school admin manual that gets updated with each release of Club Express, and we average a new release every 3 to 4 months, more bells and whistles automatically rolled up to you. And we, as you can notice, we just updated it 2 months ago. Go ahead and download it. My advice to you is don't print it. It's getting close to 800 pages, so be nice to the trees. Also, if you print it, you're looking at dated material, because if we average a new release every 3 to 4 months, that means the manual is being updated. So you're going to be looking at dated material. One of the key advantages of the manual is that you get to do keyword searches off of it. Obviously, if you printed it, you're not going to be able to have that feature. We're in the midst of updating our video tutorials right now, 40 or 50 of the most common administrative tasks, video and audio, helping you through whatever the case happens to be. Admin forum, where you get to talk to other administrators. How do you do this and how do you do that? And as I mentioned earlier, contact support. We go to the club section. And earlier we were looking at admins and coordinators, and then I got reminded metro areas. This is where you would be able to build out the chapters. And I would simply just start adding them on here. And I believe you mentioned templates when we first started, correct?
Right.
All right, so I go to the website tab. I scroll all the way down to the bottom to the setup area, website look and feel, to determine themes and colors and template design. But I could also manage my fonts, common content, which is material that appears on each of the screens, menus, where's it going to go, how many items in there. But the website look and feel, simply just go ahead and click on it. I'm going to shrink this here so I could actually navigate. Everybody see the editor here that just appeared on the right?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. What template design do I want? What's the layout
and then
going
the
to be?
colors can be customized on the templates.
Yes.
So that's very similar to blocks, the blocks approach.
Yes.
So, and you
Colors.
can lay it out kind of using a grid system, yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Menu styles, text styles, watermarks, width, background, page headers, everything's here for you. The one thing that I hope I've shown you is that there's a lot of powerful functionality in Club Express, but the user interface, the way you interact with it, is so powerful that anybody can pick it up with very little tech background. And what we refer to as tech background is, do they know how to use Word? Are they familiar with Excel? You're 90% there of understanding how to use Club Express.
That's Camp Pendleton attacking us.
What did you say, Jack?
I said that's Camp Pendleton attacking us.
Oh, I'm
They have
sorry what that
they have a
noise
big
was.
helicopter school at Camp Pendleton.
Oh,
They like
okay.
to go down the beach. And since the World Series is going to be hot, I can tell you, it is fearsome hot here. I'm just soaking, just sitting out here.
And you're in the shade. There's the top over you, isn't there?
Well, I had to keep moving. The reason why I kept moving was because the damn sun kept finding me. Believe me, the sun, I can give you, well, let me see so I can see what you see. But you see,
Okay.
there's the beach. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. That's pretty rough, Jack. Okay, you can back off now.
Can I direct us toward donations? We had a lot of discussion earlier about donations, and we've had a fair number of them this year. Some of them have really helped. And so I'd like to, if you could walk me through how they're acknowledged, at what levels, is that all programmed in here? And then also on fundraising side, I mean, how do we go out and try to get donations?
Well, donations, the way Club Express looks at it is people who are coming here and actually making some kind of contribution. It could be something physical, it could be something of a monetary gift, and it could be something other that's financial. Here's a bunch of stock. You'll notice here we can support as many different funds as you like. We're providing descriptions as well as some progress as to how well we're doing versus our goals.
And that's
Then very
the
simply
module.
just go.
Is that
This is
the
one of our
module, or
built-in
where is
modules,
that
yes.
located in the system? Okay.
I went to members and then donations, but this is one of our built-in modules.
Okay.
And then I would come over here where it's, I'm going to take a step back here to make sure everybody understood how I got here. I just said donate, and then I'll just go through the whole donation process, and it's pretty simple. Now, one of the things that we're working on developing, and I'll do my homework, is something of what we refer to as a recurring donation, as opposed to a single lump sum. Oh, you know what? Can you hit my credit card once a month for $200 as a donation, and have it keep hitting my credit card? That's something that we have in the works. I don't know where it is right now in our development list.
How about on the dues? Do you have automatic renewal every year? I assume you do.
Well, maybe. It's one of those flexible items of Club Express. You can set it up at the member level if they want to automatically renew and make payment. If you want automatic payment to take place, then your organization is going to be needing to have its own merchant account to do that. You can set it up without your own merchant account where it automatically renews, and then much like we've done here earlier, I've got my dollar sign saying, oh, wait, I owe some money. What happened? Oh, my membership renewed. I better go in there and give my $500 and then process the payment that way.
But you do have the auto renew for members.
You have auto renew for membership that can happen, period. All right. The member decides that for themselves. Now, again, at the member level, if they want to have their credit card automatically dinged, and that way it's seamless and they don't even know that their membership renewed because everything was on autopilot, Camera would need to have its own merchant account for that to happen. If they do not have their own merchant account for that to happen, the renewal is going to take place, however, not the payment.
Got it.
Well, now we have to process all this information.
We've covered a lot. And
Yes.
again, I want to circle back to this. We covered a lot of material. We jumped around all over the site. I want to highlight how quickly and easily we were able to get to it. Everything's always within an arm's length away. We never had to dive in. How do I really get to this? And we need to go through here and that and the other. No, everything's always within an arm's length away. It's been engineered in such a way that you could get to information quickly and easily. And I'm going to throw you under the bus now. How many pages of notes have you taken?
Oh, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 3.5.
Is that both sides?
Yeah. No, that's
Okay.
counting both sides. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I throw one other thing in? I like the table that you put on page 14, which gave us the rates by credit card and by for checks. And when I looked at that, it looked to me like most of our checks are going to be $20 for dues or something like that. But we also have the lifetime members. So I looked at that. It looked like the overall average, regardless of whether it was check or credit card, was about 3 to 4%. Does that sound about right to you? If you're dealing with small checks like that, small donations, either credit card or check.
Well, check payments, if we're processing them, that's where the fee kicks in.
Yeah.
But other than that, these are our posted payment processing online credit card.
Now, these are just the standard rates for those, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's
Again, I'm speaking of the tech savvy crowd portion of your membership. PayPal is also built into Club Express, so with that, there's going to be no fees. I don't believe that on the members on the club side. On the member side, there
is built into your system.
PayPal is built in as a payment option.
And I noticed that on your admin, you had that check processing where you could check that a check had been received. So I assume that if we had an administrator who did that, then we wouldn't get the 80-cent charge.
Correct. How else could I help you?
For a fire hydrant, you can't get all the water in.
You guys just wanted a couple of sips of water, and you went to a fire hydrant.
Well, I'm going to have to leave this call if I want to get dinner at 6:15, and the dining room closes at 6:30.
I'm missing an Oktoberfest with lots of beer and bratwurst.
Basil, what are you doing here? Get over there. And just a little sauerkraut, right? Onions, deli mustard, and just a little sauerkraut. Basil, you're muted.
Everybody else nuts. What's your experience on admin requirements? A backup on admin. The admin's got some heavy-duty interface here with this system. It seems to me.
It's heavy-duty as far as volume goes, not lifting. Club Express is a simple system to learn, but at the same time, the analogy that I've developed is you're learning how to drive a new type of car for the first time.
Yeah.
The first time you touch something, it's going to take you 15 minutes. The second time, it's going to take maybe 10 minutes. The third time, you're up and running. You made a very critical point, though. The volume of members that you have, you should have 5 or 6 administrators running everything for you. You do not want to isolate a single individual having this much power into the system, because one bad day for them, and they're like, you know what, I'm out of here, and they hijack the whole site.
Are these I'm unmuted. Are these normally paid positions in your electric? Are they mostly volunteers? I mean, it seems like to me that's a key function for for internal control or a whole bunch of other purposes. The admin's really important.
Right.
Experience.
We're dealing with my experience here is that you're dealing with one or two types of organizations. One, everything's done by volunteers, and by everything I mean all of it. And the other part is that we have one or two paid employees. And between the two of them, that's, I'd say, 100% of all of our 3,000 clients. Either they've got a small staff of paid employees or driven by volunteers, and they will dictate who the admins are.
Well, we've had a third approach, because what we've had and what is continuing now, although we're under notice, is where we have a professional administrator who does association management. He has employees who do that for us. And so I don't know what Jim Haynes is the one driving this. I'm not sure if he's planning to put that in place or how he plans to handle that. That's something that he'll have to work out with Basil.
To be determined. We don't need to have a solution right now. But with organizations that we've dealt with that have an association management company running them, once more, our experience is they have an account manager. That's what the association management person calls the key contact that's working with that association. The association calls them their executive director. Mm-hmm. Make them an admin.
Yeah, that's.
Are you in the market for an association management company, or are you looking to be able to do everything through Club Express?
We've been given 30 days notice, which is now already run a week.
Wow, that's a pretty short wick there. Okay.
I have to leave, folks. So send me an email if I need to be updated.
Well, Ann's on her way to dinner, and Basil's on his way to Oktoberfest.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. We'll probably have some overs on this, Steve, but thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much for your consideration. Let me put some notes together. I have everyone's email address. Please do not be shy of reaching out to me, email or phone, and with any questions and comments you have. So once more, thank you very much for your time.
Great presentation.
Thank you, Steve.
All right. Take care, everyone. Good night.
Night.